Okay, so for our next example, we're gonna do square roots. So right off the bat, anytime you see a square root in a function like this, what you're gonna do is think of it as 5x plus 3 to the power of 1/2. Now this is the same exact thing as this. This is equal to the square root, which is essentially all square root is it's just the power of a fraction, right? So if it was just a normal square root, it's 2, right? So it's to the 1/2. If it was cubed, then it would be to the power of 1/3. If it was rooted to the power of 4, then so on and so forth, right? So now we got this, right? So now we're going to identify our f of x, our g of x, and our f prime and g prime again. This rule, identifying the f and g, is going to be your biggest helper in finding all these complicated fractions and other derivatives. So what you're going to do, we found this, right? So we need to find our f and our g. So the f is always going to be the outside function, kind of the structure. So in this case, the f of x is going to be x to the 1/2. I got this by, well, actually, I'll explain it better once I do it. So our g is going to be 5x plus 3. So the f of x, what I mean by the structure is that it's what's holding the function together, right? Our g of x is always going to be what you plug into the function. So in this case, we had to plug in 5x plus 3 to get the structure, right? So that's why if you plug in 5x plus 3 to where that x is, that's why these two values correlate to each other in terms of this is the structure and this is where you plug in. So this is 5x plus 3 and this is x to the 1/2. Now we just need to find the derivative of these. So your derivative of x to the 1/2, that's 1/2 x to the negative 1/2, right? Yeah, brain fart. And then g prime of x is just this, so that is 5. Now we have all of our puzzle pieces again. Now all we have to do is do one of the 3 rules, right? So another rule to follow by when you're trying to figure out what rule does it follow, when you look at this function and you say it out loud, 5x plus 3 to the power of 1/2, that doesn't sound like divided by, right? You're not saying divided by out loud. You're also not saying multiplied out loud. So in that case, your last option is that it's going to be a chain rule. So that's how you figure out which rule it is. If you mouth out the equation in your head, then that's how you can identify which one it is. Quotient will always have fractions in it, and multiplication rule will always have 2 variables being multiplied to each other. So I'm just going to look at the chain rule real quick. So the chain rule is f prime of g of x, I'll show you this in a second, times g prime of x. That's right. Okay, so this is what our instructions look like for the Lego set, metaphorically, and these are the Lego pieces, okay? So now what we're gonna do, so we're gonna just follow this exact thing. So f prime of g of x, what that means is you're gonna take f prime of x, right? You're gonna write that down. And every time you see x in this equation, you're gonna plug it in for g of x. That's what it means by f prime of g of x, right? So f prime of x is just 1/2 x to the negative 1/2. So you're gonna do 1/2 times, and then plug in g of x, 5x plus 3 to the negative 1/2. And then multiplied by g prime of x, so just 5. And that's your answer. You could simplify it out if you want, but your professor's not going to force you to. I've never met a professor that forces you to simplify, especially when they get really, really crazy. So that's how you do that one.